Jonathan Axelrod, and we're here at the MusicGremlin offices today. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of MusicGremlin. MusicGremlin's a company that just launched in the public eye over the summer, but we've created the first product which lets users have a completely wireless digital music experience. It means for the first time users can search for music, purchase music, and share music with their friends, all directly from a portable device without having to use their computer. Sort of a big difference when you think about the world today with digital music, which is about users going to their PC, downloading songs, and having to drag them over to their iPod or other devices. And we've created the first wireless player, and this one uses Wi-Fi, that lets you actually have 2 million songs in the palm of your hand. Anywhere you are, you can search for the songs you want, select them for download, and they come right to your device. Similarly, you can also, along with selecting specific songs, you can also see what your friends are listening to wirelessly, browse their devices, trade music with them, and really do everything that you currently do online directly on a portable player. We sell music to consumers two basic ways. The first is we let consumers buy a la carte, similar to the way that iTunes and other stores do, where you can pay 99 cents a song or $9.99 an album. You download it and you own it forever. That means you can download the song directly to your Gremlin or to your PC if you want to, and transfer it, put it on other devices, burn it to CDs, you own it permanently. That's the one way we sell music. The other way is through a subscription. And what we offer is for $15 a month, an all-you-can-eat subscription service, which will let users get access to unlimited music. That means they can download any song they want to from our catalog of over 2 million songs. That includes the content from all the major labels. It also means, in addition to getting that on demand, they also get access to our Gremlin programming service. What that means is they can get unlimited access to our push programming. So you can tell us, for example, that you want a jogging mix every morning, let's say Rock the Gym, or maybe you're a fan of old school hip hop or 70s music, and you can subscribe and actually have this channel on your player. So whenever you get up, you know you're going to have fresh music waiting for you. So in addition to having to pick the songs, you can just pick the type of music you want, will automatically wirelessly push those channels to your device. And we think this is pretty exciting because it's a lot different from just having to go and choose every song on your computer. It actually lets you pick your song or pick your programming. Now, the third way that we actually let you access music is with community. And this is where we let you share music with your friends. I could be sitting here with my Gremlin, and you could be sitting in Los Angeles, let's say, and I'm here in New York, and I could actually see what's on your player. Assuming your privacy was open, I could browse the music you've got, and if I'm a subscriber, I could actually take the songs from you I want and bring them to my player. As part of my $15 a month, I get unlimited music, so I can do that as much as I want to. So for that one flat fee, I get any song I choose, any programming of ours I want, and the ability to share music with my friends limitlessly, all for that flat fee. This can work right on my device, and it also can happen on my PC if I want to. We don't keep you from doing anything on your computer. What we actually do is we operate a PC service as well that's all browser-based. You can go to MusicGremlin.com, and if you want to, you can search for music there, just like you can with other PC services. But we also do a couple other cool things on the PC. We let you go online and actually choose a song to be sent right to your device. So for example, if let's say I've already downloaded some songs on my device, but maybe I'm at work and maybe my device is at home and I'm like, shoot, I really want to get, I don't know, say I want to get a Gnarls Barkley song. So I can go onto my PC, select it, and actually choose it for download going direct to my device. So I can actually pick the song, and then the next time that my device turns on, it's automatically going to get it wirelessly. I don't have to do anything else. If I wanted to, I could also listen to it on my PC or on my device. In addition, what we let you do, which is pretty cool, is we let you access that same music anywhere you are. So my device could be, again, at home. I could be sitting at work. And if I can access a PC, I can log onto my account and actually listen to all the music on my device. It doesn't matter where I am. If I have my Gremlin with me, great, I can listen to my music. If I'm sitting in my office, I can still listen to the music that's on my device. It really takes all my music and lets me get it from wherever place I want to access it. My Gremlin, my computer, wherever I might be. What Wi-Fi is, it's a wireless broadband technology that works in local areas that lets you access the internet wirelessly. For example, what it means is if I'm at my computer, people are pretty familiar, if it's plugged into a broadband connection, DSL or cable modem, I can access the internet. What Wi-Fi does is it can plug in, for example, to my cable modem and lets me anywhere within an immediate area, let's say a couple hundred feet, be able to wirelessly access the internet. That can be at a home hotspot like I just described. People are familiar with the T-Mobile hotspot network, which is at every Starbucks, for example. Every Starbucks you can go in, and people are used to seeing, I think, people on laptops pounding away at the Starbucks. They're using that wireless internet. So it really is a short-range form of wireless internet. It doesn't occur everywhere, but where it is, you can get the same sort of broadband connection you could get through your wired connection. This Gremlin device itself, we went on sale in June for the first time. And it's a digital media player that actually has, stores, it's 8 gigabytes of storage, which is about 2,000 songs. What it actually lets me do is download songs directly to it wirelessly through the Gremlin service, or if I want to, I can transfer it the way I would with any other player through USB through my PC. It's a player that's got a full color screen and lets me search right on my device for my songs, lets me search the 2 million song catalog on the device, and also lets me swap music with friends, and it's all right here. But it's very similar to what you do with a normal digital audio player or iPod-like device, except it's got the ability to do all the Gremlin features as well. I think what you see us doing today with the Gremlin is really step one with where MusicGremlin as a company is going. Big picture, we're about direct-to-device content delivery, and for us that means letting people get their music wherever they are. If they want to listen to it on their portable player, they want to listen to their car, they want to listen to it at home, our wireless networks are finally getting fast enough to be able to make that a reality for users. So what you've seen from us today is a Gen 1 device. What I think you're going to see from us going forward is applying our technology across a whole range of devices, potentially made by us or made by other partners as well, to enable them to actually have a Gremlin-powered experience. So we see this as just step one. We see devices of all sorts, whether they're portable media players, whether they're cell phone-like devices, whether they're even home stereo-like units, getting that Gremlinized technology in them to let people be able to access the music they want right on their consumer electronics devices. And it's a pretty big vision because it starts with music, it extends to video, and it's really about the way people are going to be accessing digital content going forward. Who else we have to deal with is sort of interesting because if you're talking about digital audio, you've got to talk about Apple and iPod. I mean, there's a 800-pound gorilla right now in the room, and they've really controlled the digital audio market. And we think it's sort of interesting from a feature perspective. There hasn't been much new innovation in the last 5-6 years. There's been design innovation. There's been better software. But the devices do basically the same thing they used to do, and that's one of the things that we're changing. So I think you start with Apple, and you start with them as someone who owns the market today. I think the other part of the market you look at is people coming from the cellular side. And I think as you start to see capabilities expand with cell phones, you start to see another path for music. And the Apple iPod at this point is not connected. Cell phones are very limited in what they can do in terms of the amount of music you can download and store, and it's still a pretty rudimentary experience. But broadly, I think those are the two parts of the market we see competition. At this point, there's not a lot of direct competition to what we're doing in the specific area of direct-to-device content delivery in the areas that we look at. But obviously, when you look at the cell phone providers on one side and the Apple on the other, and competitors to Apple in the CE world, there's a whole lot of people circling around what we're up to. One of the things we do is this service of ours is fully licensed and it's a legal service. And as a result, that means we've had to deal with the content owners. That means we've had to deal with the major labels, and independent labels are also relevant as well. We've actually gone and done direct deals with the 4 major labels at this point and had to actually show them why this method for delivering music is as secure as anyone going to your PC. And so we went and had to do technical white papers and demonstrate for them that really this is a secure, we actually believe it's a more secure solution than even a PC is to be able to get music. And they did approve our solution and gave us the direct-to-device rights, and that's what we've deployed. In addition to working with the majors, we do work with the distributor as well. In large part, it makes it easier to get independent label rights. And there's a lot of independents out there, as you know. And so just for a company like ours, it's a quicker way to get to market. Similarly, when you talk about world music and other parts of the globe where there's far-flung small record labels, it also helps to work with the distributor there. So that's what we do at the moment. We're all about trying to take the content that's out there and make it as convenient as possible for users to access. And we think that's getting it right to their portable devices. The first thing you do with a Gremlin that's different from what you do with an iPod or an iPod-like device is you can actually search for music right on it. So if we go through and we want to pick a song, we can go in and I'll search by artist. And say I want to search in and I don't know, what's any favorite artist today, Danny? I say you're looking for
Radiohead.
You want Radiohead? Okay, no problem. I can go through here and search right on my device for Radiohead. Now, I don't have to be connected anywhere to do what I'm doing right now. I can just go in and browse down right on my device and look for Radiohead. So I could be on a bus, I could be on a plane, and I can still go ahead and search for what I'm looking for. So if I go and look for Radiohead here, I can go down and select them. I can then look through all their albums, and let's say I want to find Kid A, for example, I'll select. I'll go click in, and if I can then select a song. And if I want Kid A, I can just select it right there. and show info, and see, is that available? Let's see. I guess the radio, let me see, Radiohead, I've got to purchase the whole album because it's actually not allowed for security. It's interesting, we talk about music rights, there's a lot of difference here. Radiohead obviously doesn't allow their songs for subscription download, which they just tried to do, which means I can only purchase a la carte. I have to pay $10 for the album and then I own it. This is up to the artist. Certain artists or labels, depending on who controls the rights, have indicated they will only allow certain types of digital distribution. Radiohead, and it's not surprising knowing the band, is sort of not gone the standard path and has limited the distribution on some of their songs. Yeah, I'm looking at all of them. It appears that all the Radiohead songs are limited to. There, I just found a Radiohead song off a compilation, but all the Radiohead albums themselves are limited to only get all. So I just selected the song. It's now queued up, and then once the device itself is going to go search for a wireless network. Just found it because the green light went on. Now it's going to download the song right now, and as we're sitting here, my song's starting to come down right now. So while if we plugged in speakers or plug in headphones, you could actually see you listen to it as it starts. So right now it's coming down, and in the next 30 seconds we'll have the whole song, and I could just hop on and go walk off with it. Other cool part is being able to see what my friends are listening to. And I'm going to click on here, and I can see all my buddies right on my device. If I go in here, I'm going to find a buddy of mine, let's say Falcon11. Not even sure who it is, but that's their handle. And assuming their privacy is open, I can go in, browse the collection, and I can see their songs. In this case, it's a big Shakira collection on it. But I decide I want to take some Shakira. I can just start clicking on it, and taking a couple of the Shakira songs. Take Antologia, and I'll take, my Spanish isn't very good, and let's say I'll take Speed of Sound by Coldplay. They're all now queued up, and they're all coming down right down to my device. So similarly, I could send them a song too. But it really makes me part of a community. I don't need to be near them. I could be near them. If they're, if they're near me, I don't even need to be near a network. If they're near me, we could be sitting in a subway, and I could actually see your songs and be able to exchange music with you. But even if we're not, as long as I'm connected to the internet somewhere and you're somewhere, we can trade songs. You can be in LA, I can be in New York, and I can actually see what's on your actual device. It's pretty cool. It's a way to feel a lot closer to your friends. And if you're like me, a lot of the way I hear about things is by people I work with, by friends of mine. I can't keep up with everything new and hear it myself. So when I know a few friends who've got good music, I know when I go on their devices I can find new stuff. And I think a lot of people are like that. And I think right now the portable device doesn't let you do that very well. The portable device is something you've got to think about what you want to put on it. You've got to think about where you get your music. And this makes it a lot easier to get that peer recommendation. That's always been a big key to it. It's funny, I always think back in terms of the record store of old, which doesn't exist, like High Fidelity, let's say. I think you've seen that movie before several times. If you think back what people would go to the record stores for, it would be three things. One would be to get new music. The second part would be to get the expert's advice, to hear what they were recommending, to hear what was out there. The third part would be to talk to other people and see what they liked and see what they recommended. The richness of that experience doesn't really translate very well today, I don't think, in terms of the portable music experience. It really is a very separate experience. It relies on users going to their computer, sitting there, dragging songs, and then once they're on their device, it's very separate. It's very individualistic. It's not a very communal experience. And by putting these sort of functions on the device, I think it changes a lot of that for users. It becomes much more living, much more breathing, much more give and take, and much more takes that music experience with you wherever you want to go. And I think that's part of what's different about the whole Gremlin view of the world than what exists today. Came up with the idea for the company with my co-founder over 3.5 years ago now, with the vision of we've got to make it easier for people to get digital music. And that's really been sort of our guiding principle, that there had to be a way to get it to where people wanted to listen to it, which was their portable device. And so that meant initially creating the overview and the spec for the first generation product before we had any engineers involved, and then actually giving the engineers the guidance for how to get started. I mean, this was day one about how we got off the ground. And we've grown from there, obviously, to an organization where we've got about 25 people now. It's still a small company, but it's much different than two guys and a dog sitting around. And there's a whole lot of pieces of it. And one part is obviously raising money for the company, which is a key part. And it never stops as a startup company. Being able to raise money is something that's always going on. I guess the second part of the job is managing partners. And we talk about managing our significant partners, whether they're hardware manufacturers, whether they're network manufacturers. We've got other people in the company who work with them. But any sort of that level of company is something which the deal at a company like ours gets up to the CEO level. Similarly, content rights. We've got a great SVP of content who actually negotiates them, but there's always issues with the labels that come up as well. In addition, you've got things ranging from production issues to actually make these devices, to distribution issues with sales, every one of which in a company like ours at the executive level ends up crossing my desk at some point. So, on a day-to-day basis, I could be dealing with a problem with, let's say a retailer is carrying the device, manufacturing question we've got to deal with in Asia, a question about our rights being renewed on a particular label, and then a partnership with say a wireless company that's looking to deploy our technology on their devices, in addition to managing fundraising and the board. So there's a whole lot of pieces which come into that, and don't want to make it sound, it's clearly not that I do this all myself. We've got people who do a lot of these different parts of the job. It's just every one of those things in a company like ours ends up at the executive level at some point. The music industry is an interesting place to be right now in that change is coming. Everyone knows it's here, and it's what you do with it. And I would say, we started this over 3.5 years ago now, and we've seen that the various trends of resistance to certain things, technology resisted, then embraced, up and down, and there's certainly still a lot of, I would say, I don't want to say discomfort, but let's say an evolving level of comfort with some of the power of technology there. We got involved here because we actually see what we were doing as something which could help content owners. It was one of the reasons why we thought it was exciting. There's obviously a lot of pirate networks out there, and that's one of the areas where people get their music. But we thought if you could create an ability to give people more than they could get for free, more value, that was actually the best way to fight piracy and get consumers to pay for something. At the end of the day, we're looking for consumers to pay for music as well, just like the record companies are. And we thought that suing them, while it's a part of the efforts that are going on to date, not going to comment on those, but certainly wasn't sufficient to get consumers to use legal efforts to get digital music. Where we think digital can be exciting is it actually does let people do a lot more than they could do in the old formats. With a CD or with a record, it's very specific how you have to listen to music. You put on that one piece of stored music and then you listen to it. It could be a mixtape where you mix it up a little bit, but it's still that one piece of static storage material. Even the MP3 players to date have been a lot of that. You put your music on, you store it. What's the promise of digital music, I think, is when you start being able to compare and really combine different ways of listening to music. Combine, let's say, the programmed aspect of radio with the on-demand aspect of CDs, with the trading aspect of mixtapes, all together, all digitally, all wirelessly, and all for a price that consumers think is pretty reasonable. Asking them to pay less than a CD a month for all the music they want through any of these types of experiences, we think it's a great value proposition for consumers. It's a matter of taking what digital can do and actually giving them a value proposition they want to pay for, as opposed to trying to force them into old models they may not want to keep. Listen, we're not endorsing privacy. We think people absolutely should pay for their music. But a reality of it is, when you've got a free option out there, even if it's illegal, the way you compete for that, we think, is by giving them a better value that's worth paying for. So when you look at why we got into the music industry, I mean, we certainly saw it was in a period of unrest. We don't think music's going away. We think music's as relevant, if not more relevant to people than ever. It's a question of how you could take the power of the technologies that we're developing and use them to create that sort of value where people would actually, with a smile on their face, say, hey, I want to buy that. I want to pay for that music. And I think digital can do that. I think it's some of the creativity that people have been showing recently is helping to move things in the right direction. I think we got a long ways to go, but I do think that digital can be a friend to the music industry. I've been an amateur musician for quite some time. Being in the music business, I certainly don't hold a candle to all the people that I work around, so I even hesitate to say that. But I've played things, keyboard, clarinet, saxophone, going back quite some time. Played some jazz, some classical. So amateur, but very amateur. I got involved in the music business originally when the rise of the internet first generation was happening in the mid-late 90s. I've been working as a management consultant and was working generally in e-commerce, and started taking a look around at some businesses where we thought the internet could really help in terms of distribution of product. And myself and my co-founders of that company were familiar with the musical instrument business for a variety of reasons, and it struck us that instruments at that time were something which people couldn't really get what they wanted very well. It was a problem of distribution. You had the average American city had poor musical instrument selection, poor pricing, and it really just wasn't a great experience for the average person. If you were in New York or LA, sure, you had a lot of choices, but if you were in B, C, D, or tier cities or small towns, it's very difficult to get instruments. And we thought that, combined with the consistency of manufacturing, which was evolving, made it a good fit for e-commerce. We could deliver good selection at good value with all the top brands, and that made us go into e-commerce with a company called Music 123 selling musical instruments. And we became one of the largest Fender, Gibson dealers in the country, well as some of the other top brands as well, with guitars being our biggest area. It was again a view towards how we thought technology could actually help an industry that was afraid of it. And as opposed to being afraid of the internet, we actually thought it could help bring more products to more people. And I think that's what e-commerce is going to do in instruments over the long run. I think the parallels to my current business, they're obviously very different. But again, it goes to taking a look at technology and how, as opposed to thinking of it as an enemy or being afraid of it, you can actually use it to bring more value and create more really more money for the entire value chain of the industry, from producers to distributors, and for consumers to have a better experience. I think one thing with the music business in particular is I think a lot of people start companies because they love aspects of the business. That can be a great reason to start it. It can be a great impetus to start something. But it can also be dangerous if you let, for example, your love of a particular part of the business come into play over the other realities of the business, if you will. So one thing I would certainly caution people is to make sure that the business plan makes sense, not just be something that they loved or felt passionately about. Certainly you have to feel passionately about it, but you also have to make sure that when you're honest with yourself, the economics of it all makes sense. What I would say at that point is, spend some time thinking about it, figure out what you think the opportunity you're addressing in the market is, figure out some way of how you're going to address the challenges, and come up with some sort of business plan of how you're going to fund it. And then once you've convinced yourself, try to convince some of your best friends who are supporters, your best friends who are the biggest doubters. Talk to some of your industry experts, and if you're convinced, go for it. I mean, you're never going to come up with a foolproof plan. You're never going to convince 100% of the people you're right. You don't have to. You've got to convince yourself, after you've done a thorough job of taking a look at the realities of it, that you've got something to offer, which is going to solve problems for people that they're going to be willing to pay for at some level. And it's likely that whatever you start with is going to change 18 times before you're done, but that's okay. That happens, as long as you're focused on what problem you're solving, what value you're delivering, and you've got a realistic view of it. I think you've got a firm grounding there.